Are you new to permanent makeup and sick of trying to figure out what needle configuration to use for each service? Trust me, you are not alone. There are so many different needles to choose from and so many contradicting articles for each service and why to use that configuration. So if you want to learn how to choose the proper needle configuration for each and every service, you'll want to stick around until the end of this video to learn how to simplify this process and choose needles like a master artist. My name is Elena Benman from Cosmopolitan Academy. You may have seen me in one of the many beauty publications globally. I've been helping artists just like yourself learn the best techniques and pro tips to scale to a 6 or even 7-figure business in the beauty industry. What I'm about to show you are the exact techniques that I use on my very own clients in order to pick the proper needle configuration each and every time. As a multi-certified global master trainer, I'm going to show you exactly how to simplify this process. Okay, so let's break down needles, configurations, and counts all in one so that we understand what we want to pull for each service individually and why we're pulling it as well, so that we can work a little bit better with our needles and have them work to our advantage the more we know about them. It's a really important step that a lot of artists in the beginning days really fail to learn about, and they end up not giving the same quality as those who are understanding what each needle does and how it affects the outcome of each service. So first thing that we're going to see when we're reading needle packages are the count. For beginner to intermediate permanent makeup artists, the needle counts are generally 1 to 7, either a single needle or groupings of 1 to 7. We don't really use a ton more than that when we're beginning because the color payout is just too large. Then it goes into needle configuration. So we have singles, which is just a single needle. Then we have round liner, so RL is the letters that would come after our counts. And then round shaders, which is an RS, flat or flat curved, and then our magnums. If you missed any of these steps, you can download our free 8-week boot camp that has additional pro techniques and tips to perfect your technique and scale your business in the description link below. So let's start with the single needles, the R1s. So it would be just a single needle and one single needle. And then we actually really need to pay attention to the diameter of the needle tip. So the average that we would use as a beginner to intermediate permanent makeup artist would range anywhere from a 0.20, 0.25, or 0.30. So this is actually how big the tip of the needle is, which means the larger the tip, the 0.30 is much larger than the 0.20. It's actually larger at the tip, which means it's going to give us a lot more dense color. It's also going to give us a thicker line. So we can use a single needle for any of our permanent makeup services, but obviously it's going to take us a lot more time to build color saturation. And let's pretend, say we're doing a lip liner. As a beginner, you want to use a 0.2 or 0.25 for your liner because the bigger the needle, the less room that we have for error because there's so much more color payoff. So it's just a little bit more forgiving the smaller the needle that we use when we're first beginning. So just think if we're using a 0.3 and we make an error along the way, you're going to really see it as opposed to a 0.2 needle, which is a lot smaller, a lot less color payout, and could blend a lot nicer, and it's an easier fix. And then we go on to our round liners. So what this is tightly configured round grouping of needles. So it's really, really tight together, and it's going to give you medium color payout. We want to use a round liner when we're lining on winged eyeliner for sure. If we're not doing a winged eyeliner, we could probably get away with a single needle like an R1 that we talked about a moment ago. But if we want to add that nice winged eyeliner look, use a round liner for that area. Or for hair strokes on brows, when you're doing nano brows, you'll definitely want to use a round liner for some of those hair strokes. Then we go into the round shaders. So a shader, obviously we're going to be shading with that one. We're not creating lines, we're now creating shading and ombre look, things like that. So it's a loosely configured round grouping of needles as opposed to the round liner is really, really tight together. This one spreads the needles out a little bit so we get a really nice gradient look when we're peppering or when we're feathering and creating that shade. This will also give a medium color payout, and we're going to use this for shading effects on both lips and brow PMU services. Next, we go into those flat needle configurations. It is grouped really tightly together in a flat line. Okay, this is very, very, very precise. It's going to give you a very high color payout. So as a beginner, I don't recommend to use this right away, but as you get more confident and you know that your hand speed is matching your machine speed, you could gradually introduce this into your work. It gives the same effect as a single needle, but it gets the job done 7 times faster per se. This will help you to create 3D hair strokes in your nano brows, or you can swap out your round liners when you feel ready, and instead of doing your lip liner and eyeliner procedures with a round liner, you can swap it out for a flat. Up to 7 needles generally is all in a row, tightly grouped together, and you'll just get the job done a lot quicker. But just keep in mind until you're ready for that one, because it can create a lot more trauma to the skin than a round liner. Then last but not least, we have our magnums. This is stacked in 2 rows really tightly together. It is super, super powerful, and it is your highest color payout. So I would use this one only for my lip blushing when I want a very, very bold lip, almost like that total lipstick look. Think red lipstick when you're finished, as opposed to a nice gradient subtle lip blush technique. If you want those saturated full color on your lips, I'm going to pull out the magnums, and generally a 7 configuration needle for my magnums. So to recap, there are 3 steps to consider when choosing the proper needle configurations. Number 1, are we lining or shading in this appointment? Number 2, the proper lining configurations. And number 3, the shading configurations. And a bonus, it is okay to use both types of needles in one appointment. Don't forget to download our free 8-week bootcamp in the description link below to get these steps plus more sent right to you. And if you want to learn more about PMU services, you'll want to watch our next video on the differences between professional grade products and consumer grade products.